Midway USA has an extensive selection of bullets, providing top-notch performance and accuracy for the cartridge you plan on reloading. If you plan to hunt, shoot competitively, plink at the range, or even load up some self-defense rounds, Midway USA has the popular brands, calibers, diameters, and grain weights of bullets you are searching for. First-time reloaders, bulk bullet buyers, and seasoned specialty shooters begin their search for bullets at Midway USA. For just about everything for reloading, shop MidwayUSA.com. Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
Just be sitting up there jacking Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting a...
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bowls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast?
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
Can you hear properly?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if it was
Oh, yeah.
fucking snap right now. I swear to God.
Go grab a coffee. Or go
I
grab
got
a
one here, man.
You
You
got a
know what? It's
Snicker-
okay.
Go grab a Snickers
You know what
bar or
started?
something.
You know what started the day off? I make a coffee this morning, and I didn't put the you know, the thing that the filter goes in, that little attachment sits in the coffee pot.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in there properly, and then the lid didn't close, and then I go back 10 minutes later, and there's fucking coffee and grinds all over the counter table.
Yeah. I've been there, done that.
So, and then I come down here and nothing fucking works. So,
I'm going to assume you stayed calm, cool, and collective, cleaning up the coffee too.
I just left. I said, fuck it. No, I cleaned it up. Wife would snap. She's
I'm pretty sure
nobody can sleep like my wife. I swear to God. But she's like, I wish I could get as much sleep as her, man. It's impressive.
Very nice.
So what's up, boys? Good morning.
Morning.
We're live. We're recording. So yeah. So how's the week? Fuck, the week flies by. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
Feels like we need more days in the week just to get some shit done.
Yeah, it's nice now that the days are definitely getting a little longer, which makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, right now the morning shift is kind of showing its benefits for sure. Just getting off at 2:30 and having the extra daylight on top of that. You can definitely get more done than even a month ago.
Yeah, that's a good shift.
Yeah.
Definitely a good shift. I see you got you're shooting your bow downstairs now.
Yeah, I got stuff cleared out enough. And just today where I'm shooting against, I just got to change of plans down here just for the finishing touches. So I got to paint another 8 feet of wall, which is not a big deal. And then the other wallpaper that I did order for the backdrop, it's supposed to be here Tuesday. So it's getting there. It's almost there. Yeah. So
how about you, Derek? How's your week? Sorry to cut you off there, Pete.
No, that's all good.
Just busy. Just started shooting my bow outside, which is really nice, honestly. Been shooting in my garage, and it's just not. That doesn't feel as nice shooting at 60 and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, I seen you're at the range there.
Yeah, 60, 70, and then at 100. The snow drifts are pretty deep, so it's pretty soaking wet. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty good week. Did my physio.
Nice.
Tendonitis in my patellar.
Oh.
So gonna be working through that. It's not debilitating or anything by any means, but it's good to work on that stuff in the off season. So definitely got a couple of things to work on for weights and just range of motion routine stuff, and then neck strain stuff. I told them what I was doing, how much frequency I want to be shooting with my bows. So they gave me some stuff to work on with that too.
Nice.
So pretty good, pretty productive.
Yeah. This is the time to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, did I tell you guys I started working with a running coach?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
you did.
I did.
I-
Okay.
I was a
won't
little
get into it again,
disappointed.
but it's a lot different. Like the routine we do is way different. Like I'm not running. Like we run like they have this chart, and so like you have to like you run for a bit to meet a certain level, and then you back off and you run like pretty crazy. I never would have done it that way, but I mean,
How
we're a
often are you
coach for a
doing that?
reason. Right now, only 3 times a week. So, yeah. So Derek, I got a bunch of swag for you. I'm sending out your way. Pete, I
Perfect.
put a bunch of clothes together for the shoot this
Awesome.
July.
Yeah,
And
July.
I'm sending some other stuff to Stuckless.
6,
But I
7.
do have fuck man, I had a whole like I got all this stuff because we're gonna get some new swag with a new logo on it. So you guys see what I'm pointing to for the listeners. And until I'm gonna be giving away all this stuff until that shelf is empty. Normally there's a couple skulls on there and some really good books like Doug Bose's book and all that stuff. I think there's a few other really good ones in there too. But I'm going to be giving away all this stuff. So to get it, all you have to do is go over to YouTube, watch these videos and comment, subscribe, and then I'm just going to pick at random some people and I'm just going to give them all away because I got way too much. And like a lot of them are funky sizes. So if you're out there listening or watching, and like I have a lot of double XLs, a lot of smalls, stuff like that. I do have some larges like the standard sizes, but one thing when you have a lot of clothes, most people buy like you have to do it in like 6, 12, 18 increments of 6 when you're getting it made. So you get a lot of larges and extra larges made, some mediums, but obviously you get stuck with like I was doing some double XLs and stuff like that. So you get a lot of stuff like that. Now, like I said, they're not all double XL. There is some larges and extra larges in there. There's some hats too. Can't see them, but as that pile goes down, you'll see the hats. But anyway, so just go over there, subscribe, like, and just leave a comment in the videos. Now, to watch these videos, you can't go to the Focus Hunting YouTube because I can't get access back to that one. So you just type in Kevin Toy and you'll see all our podcast videos under that one. Yeah, so what are we doing today, boys? We're doing a gear dump. Oh, one other thing I had to talk about. One of the listeners, it was the last podcast that we were doing. We were talking about where CWD was found.
Yeah.
It was in, what did I say it was? Libby, Montana?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the CWD was found, just south of you. So to the listener who wrote in and shared that with us, thanks. And yeah, what else were we talking about in our little group chat there? Did you guys see those pictures of that hog that guy sent me?
Oh man,
hog attack.
Brutal.
Yeah,
insane, eh?
Makes you want to have a bigger gun, not a bow. I don't know what he was hunting him with, but holy shit, did he get torn up?
Yeah, I'll throw those up so you have to watch it to see what we're talking about. But I'll throw these pictures up in this conversation right now so the guys listening or watching can see it. But Jesus,
almost makes you want to drag a cannon around with you in the backcountry. Couldn't like that.
Man, you imagine how aggressive those hogs must be. Pretty vicious.
Oh, I've heard
like
they're just
eating
tough
rattlesnakes
as nails.
and yeah, pretty wicked.
There's something.
Do you guys have you guys had a lot of those your way, Derek, that you know of?
I'm on the Facebook group for Feral Hog Watcher.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any out in the backcountry really. Maybe farther north, that's where they kind of been concentrated, but I haven't seen any out in the wild.
Farther north.
Like how far north are we talking?
Crazy.
Like when we get into the foothills area, that's where a lot of the reports have been. There's been some in southern, but I don't know how real that is. Looks like a little bit of like escapees and stuff like that, but
yeah,
it's not the actual high concentration coming out of it. I think it's coming from Saskatchewan across. So yeah, it's spotty too. A lot of guys are going after them, so hopefully it stays like that.
I wonder if it has something to do with the climate up here, why they're not like, because down in the States, they can't kill them as fast as they're breeding.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it has something to do with just the temperature, if it's more conducive to them down there and they just like it more down there. I mean,
Yeah. And you know,
I don't
it could too be just like, you know, it's not a linear thing. It could just be it gets to a certain population and steeply increases like in the States, right?
Oh, yeah.
But once they get established and then there's more than one population and then they start you know, rooting around, then they start to really establish a big population and the population gets crazy.
Because I've heard they've adapted pretty good to the Canadian cold. Like I've heard, I think they actually call them pig glues. Like when it gets like freakishly cold, they just stack on top of each other and lay together, and just basically use each other's body heat to survive the cold. Let the snow fall down on them, and
That's not good.
it's just like I'd never heard or seen that before. But yeah, I can't remember where I read it or saw it, but yeah, it was a legitimate article. I was just like, holy shit. Because that's what I thought. I thought that, you know, especially Alberta and Saskatchewan winters, I thought for sure that'll keep them at bay. But it seems like they figured out a way.
Yeah, they're tough as all hell. I wanted to add one more thing here that I forgot to mention. So the guys at Mountain Tough, they sent me their app. I have access for both of you guys as well. So Mountain Tough, those who aren't familiar with Mountain Tough, it's just basically they put together these fitness programs, and I was going through them. They're really good. They got, if you don't have access to weights, there's body weight workouts, and it's basically you can pick what you're training for. You know, there's ones for rucking. Like I said, there is some weighted ones, and they come up with all these different programs, and there's 6, 12, 8, depending on which program you pick. But they're really good. If guys looking to, you know, if they need help getting in shape and they're not sure what to do, I do have access. You guys get 30% off for the people listening. So I'll put those in the show notes. So all you have to do is go over, download their app, click on the link that I provided down below to our listeners, and you're going to get 30% off on their app.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Wicked.
Yeah, it's really good. I did one of their workouts before. My workout routine's pretty tight right now, so I did it after I did my regular workout. But yeah, it's really good. I did one of the body weight workouts, which I like those ones too, because they really work on like flexibility and stuff. Like it's incorporated obviously with the workout, just because the nature of it. So you're doing more, you know, the exercises you are doing, and they're more flexible, like working on flexibility and stuff like that, which is nice, because as you get
a lot of
older,
that
feet get stiff.
Yeah, a lot of that's really important, especially if you're going to do like one-legged like stalks, like where you really have to be on one leg and you're creeping around. I found that anything that is body weight, stability, and sorry to say almost like a yoga thing, but just to get that flexibility so you have full range of motion. So if you're like half bent your knee, this isn't the first time you're doing it, and then you're falling over or something and then blowing your stalk, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, it definitely helps. And then if you're in areas that are steep and, you know, you're climbing over trees and you slip, you know, if you're flexible, you're not going to tear anything. You're going to be able to have that movement, make that adjustment. If you're really stiff, that's when you start tearing shit. And it's nasty getting out of the backcountry.
Nice having that variety too of something totally different. Well, not necessarily totally different, but different from your normal workout program. Because
yeah, it's cool too. If you want to just go in there and just just try something new. Yeah, they got lots of stuff. Yeah, it does. They've got lots of cool stuff in there, and I haven't gone through it all because I was just talking to them the end of the week here. So we'll get into more of that. Anyway, we're gonna do a gear review. So who wants to go first? Want me to go first? Actually, I see I got 2 Hoyt shooters now to deal with. Fuck me.
Yeah. Derek, you know what? I think you should also come to the Bighorn 3D shoot and put the pressure on Kevin. Hoyt versus Kevin.
Yeah.
I watched him crumble under the pressure just like last year.
I'm just gonna keep my bow away from you. That's what I'm gonna do. Every year it's something. But you gotta watch Pete. He's craft. This year I'm gonna go a day earlier, so Pete ain't gonna have the upper edge. He ain't gonna be able to do those extra rounds. And
I'll be there 2 days early.
Yeah, you guys will probably have it set up a month early. You'll be putting the pressure on the boys. No, we got to get it set up. Got to get my rounds in. Okay, gear dump. So we're gonna do this gear dump. Now we're not gonna get into everything we used, just because like throughout the year, depending on the hunt and the place I'm going, I use a lot of different stuff. We're like, if you're doing a backpack hunt, you can use, depending on where you're going, you're gonna be using different tents. Stuff like that. I didn't do any backpack hunts this year. That I was, backpack hunts that I was sleeping out of a tent. So we're just gonna leave that out of it. I think we'll just keep it pretty like generic of what we typically keep in our backpack. So yeah, so maybe I'll start off. So like this year again, I was running the Mystery Ranch pack of good pack. The only thing I don't like about Mystery Ranch is the really small straps on their packs. So unfortunately they don't have a way to change them out. That's the only thing that I find bugs me a little bit with those packs.
Like, are you talking length, or are you talking like how wide the straps actually are?
How wide they are themselves. I lost video here. What's going on? Sorry guys. Why that? Okay. Oh, that's not what I want. Too close.
No, it was way better before. Oh, that's better. Oh, there we go. That's good. That's
Hold
good.
on.
Oh yeah, we're good. Let's go with that. Roll with that.
Roll with that?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a sec. Keep shutting off. No, I don't want to. Holy shit. Okay, guys are listening. Sorry.
If the listeners hear a big crash and shit going down, Kevin's clearing off his desk again.
I've already done it once. Okay, it's good now. Fuck me. So anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, my backpack straps. Yeah, anyway, that's the only thing I don't like about the Mystery Ranch packs. But I do like the fact that they're light, they're semi-waterproof. You don't have to put a cover on them. But I'm not going to get into that. So typically what I carry in my backpack, obviously, that everybody should be carrying is a first aid pack kit. Some sort of, it's got something to stop any bleeding. Mine is pretty elaborate. It's got some thread stitching, some tape, some ibuprofen. It's got a UV pen for sterilizing water. It's got some UV pills for sterilizing water. It has some, things like Vaseline, non-scented Vaseline, extra batteries. What else do I got in that? Just, things that you'd think you need in the backcountry that there's just, but not too much of it. I'm not going to get into what's exactly in there just because this would take forever for all three of us to go through. So I have that. I have some Hoodoo game bags, awesome game bags. You could reuse them. Head over to hoodoo.com. As you can see, I'll put a link in the description too for that. I always carry some gloves in my pack. I don't really like gloves, but I do carry them just in case. I use the Sitka gloves. I have my Peaks walking sticks. My spotting scope always sits in there. What else do I have? A pair of gaiters. This year I was using APE and the Peaks gaiters this year. Both, good and bad, both of them. I mean, APE, a lot of really good things about them. There's a couple things I don't like about the Peaks. I just don't really like how hard it is to get the strap off each time. That little buckle, this little piece here. And again, if you're listening, you got to go watch. There's that little piece right here, that top of the strap. It's really hard to get your fingers in there to do it. Like I have no fingernails.
Like just to release it?
Yeah, just to release it. I mean, so what I end up doing is I just push that off and then I just plop it right off pop it right off like that. I don't know if you guys can see that. Camera's kind of far away. But anyway, that's the only thing I don't like, but it's not huge. But anyway, these things are great, really durable. Yeah, so those are good. And then that's about it for like the main part. And then up top, I always have, are you kidding me here? Keeps my video keeps shutting off here, so bear with me. Anyway, this thing, I always have a little switchblade saw. So this one is the Pocket Boy, the Silky Pocket Boy. This thing is sharp as hell. I have a bigger one of these in my SUV. Like, I don't even carry a chainsaw anymore. This thing is just deadly.
I was going to ask, is that just for wood, or can you get through bone with that?
You can get through anything with that.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave that on there because I don't know what's going on with my video. Yeah, so a little saw like this is great to have. This I always have. I have a few lighters. I have fire starter. Actually, the fire starter is in my first aid kit, so it's always dry. Little lighter. You guys can see that. You fucking kidding me here? Okay, I'm just gonna switch the video over here. I'm just gonna go to this because it always wants to switch back. Yeah. Okay. So these
That's
things.
your UV one, right?
Yeah, this thing you just charge this in and recharge it. This thing is awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah, waterproof. You could soak this in water. It doesn't get wet. Obviously, my new favorite things ever. The boot dryers. Unreal. Small. So, like I was talking in our group chat there, so what I did was I took a pair of my old work boots, got a bucket of water, dumped one in the bucket of water, completely submerged it, put it in the sink. Did the same to the other one. Put these things in there. This was at 4 o'clock when I did it. Went to put the kids down for bed. 8 o'clock. The boots were dry to the touch. Now, if you would have put your foot in there, it still would have got wet because underneath it was wet, but like still for 4 hours. Pretty amazing.
Especially soaking it right in a bucket of water.
Yeah, for sure, man. Another great thing I always keep in my bag just because it's small, is this thing here. I don't use this. I didn't use this at all this year, but it comes in handy in a lot of times if you're trying to start a fire or to inflate your cot. It's got a light on it too. It's just a little mini blower.
Oh yeah.
So this thing works awesome. My batteries might be dead, but you can see it's got a really bright light, which is nice. You can hang it too from your tent like this. I got this thing on Amazon. This thing was like $40. This thing is money, and it's got like, that's bright. It's really bright. It's crazy bright. And then you can hear it. It's a little. Yeah, so super cool. I always have this in my backpack. Like I said, I didn't use it at all this year, but I do use it quite a bit when I'm doing those backpack hunts.
That'd be really good too for even if you're field dressing an animal in the dark, you hang it on if you got branches or something to.
Yeah, it's nice to have.
It's
nice to have a little light. My Sea to Summit spork always sits in there. Don't use that all the time, but it's there. Ribbon for blood tracking. Hockey tape, must have. And ass wipe with some hand cleaner. I use RV ass wipe because it's it dissolves a lot faster than regular toilet paper.
Got to get a couple extra layers in there so you don't go 2 knuckles deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
Got to
that.
be careful with that.
So, and I always have my Outdoor Edge with rechangeable blades. I don't use this. I started using my fixed blade. Like last year or the year before, I started using my fixed blade. I always have my fixed blade on attached to my pack like this. So as you can see, it is basically, I ended up I think I glued the strap because it kept falling out, but I glued it in there. So this knife is by Gerber. I love this knife. It's, I like the orange just because when you put them down, you can see it. If it's black or colored, it's hard as hell to see.
I think generally every knife looks awesome, but I'll guarantee you anybody that's done any field dressing at night, put their knife down and then has that panic moment of where the fuck did my knife go? Because you can't find it because it's either camo or black. Everybody eventually switches over to a bright handle at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And that's just it. Like, that's what happened, right? Like I've done it before, and like, those are great gifts to get. So like you always get one from like your mom or your wife or something like that. You get a good knife, but it's black. You use it once or twice, you put it down, you can never find it again. You're like, okay, come on. So that's why I like the orange, everything orange, like it's, you know, the lighter. Same with on my release. On my release, I customized that Carter Insatiable, but I drilled a hole through it and I put a strap on it that goes on my wrist. Number one, so it's on my wrist. Number two, I use bright orange. So if I drop it, which I have dropped it, I can always see it easy because it's got the bright orange.
That's
And I
good.
remember when I was antelope hunting, somehow fell off my hand. And yeah, my buddy I was with, Carrie, he just seen the orange strap sticking through the tall grass. So I like the orange for
Nice.
sure. And we don't have any, there's no, like on us, there's no restrictions up here in Canada. There's no restriction for if you're wearing, you have to wear a certain amount of orange. I mean, I don't know, maybe that'll come one day, but right now it's not. I always have a battery pack too. On the last, I have this one in here. This is a fairly big one. It's it's called a Type S. Really good. It's really big. I don't normally, like if I'm going on a backpack hunt, I'm not carrying this one. The last hunt I was on was out of my truck, so I used this one. But I mean, this runs everything. Like it was running my phone, charging my phone every night, doing everything. So it's good to have a battery pack, and like we could go through maybe one day. I have a bunch of different battery packs. I got some that are rechargeable, like solar powered ones. We can get into that maybe another day, but just I always have some sort of battery charger pack in my backpack. Now, I never used to carry one all the time. Like if for just day hunting, I never carried one until, you remember a couple years ago, Pete, and this was before we knew you, Derek. I was on a black bear hunt, killed a black bear, and my headlamp, everything ran out of power.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I always have my Garmin GPS on me all times, no matter if I'm going to check trail cameras. Sorry, I should have took it out. Anyway, I always carry this on me no matter what I'm doing. If I'm going to check trail cameras, I'll clip it on. I'm just going out for the day, I'll clip it on just because, man, you never know. You fall down, break a leg. Lose the keys to your truck, anything like that, right? Like I know buddies who have done that, who've been out and they lost the keys to the truck and they had to walk all the way back to get cell service, hours and hours and hours. And then it's just nice to have one of those. So
a buddy of mine last year, he was real early getting into his elk hunting spot. I was actually supposed to go call elk with him, text him, hey man, what's going on? I haven't heard from you for a bit. And I guess he rolled a squat and it landed on his leg and broke his femur. And he didn't have a Garmin or anything. So ever since then, it's been a 100%. Every single time you go out, you have to have some way of calling for help, because he said it was 10 hours of absolute hell until another hunter found him. So, and when you're thinking about bracing your leg with arrows out of your quiver and just shit like that, just terrible, lots of misery. So ever since then, it's a 100% to have some sort of way to call for help or GPS or something. And then for sure you have to have some sort of battery, because if it runs out and you need it.
Yeah,
And on top of that too, don't think by keeping it in your backpack, in the back of your backpack, that's a great place for it. Because if your backpack's on, you're laying on your back, you can't move, you can't get to it. Or if it flings off, let's say you're on your quad or whatever, and your backpack's 40 feet away now.
Yeah.
It's not going to do you any good, because you got to get to it. You might be pinned. Have it on your chest or something like that, or somewhere literally you can reach in front of you somehow to turn it on.
You're always carrying, whenever you go into the bush, like you're always carrying a bino harness.
Yeah.
Or something like that, because I mean, like you got card readers in there, you got this, like who doesn't go out without the binoculars, right? Like realistically.
Yeah.
So yeah, you always want it on your chest. And like I learned the hard way to, even if you're going out for a day hunt, take a battery pack, because we're not as on top of our game. Well, at least I'm not anyway. I'm definitely not on top of it as much as I should be. I don't get home, take everything out, recharge the batteries. Sometimes I leave the fucking things on in the pack, put them back without turning them off completely. Stupid things like that I shouldn't do, and then not check them. So it's good to always have I always have some sort of battery pack. And what I do a lot of the times with those battery packs is I'll put them in a Ziploc bag and then put them in my backpack because they're not waterproof. Like my Garmin is totally waterproof. But those, I'll throw them in a Ziploc bag, then throw them in my backpack just in case you get pissed on getting wet. It's just nice to keep that water and moisture off those things.
Yeah, that's a good point because too, you do need to figure out as well, like if you're going to drop your pack at any point, that's and going on a stalk without your pack, you know, maybe if you have some basic survival stuff in your bino harness, if you have a little pocket for fire starter or something, just thinking about it a little bit beforehand, because I've had that where I don't have water, my GPS is back in my pack, and you know how it is. You get on a stalk or elk especially, or something happens that you didn't think was, maybe you get a second chance, and then now you're 2,000 yards from your pack and getting close to the last light, and then you got to hike back, and if something were to happen, you know, you have nothing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's not ideal to drop your pack. Obviously, where you are, Corey, it's definitely more, I feel like it's one of those places, and just like the topography and landscape, where you need to do it a little bit more. But like, I've put my pack down, man, and then been like, where in the fuck did I put my fucking pack?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when we when my kid shot his elk and he dropped his pack, when we were doing our first load of elk out, he's like, so you don't want to drop your pack? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. You don't want to ever drop your pack, because now we have to double pack, go and get it. And you're hauling out meat without your pack. So, you know, I gave him my pack, and I'm throwing a quarter over my shoulder. It's just like, you need your pack. It's better to keep your pack really efficient and lightweight.
Yes,
like
100%.
Obviously with mule deer hunting in the prairies, you can't have a pack. There's like, sometimes there's no cover, and the lower you can get it's conducive to a successful stalk. But when you're in the trees and stuff, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. And like in times like that, they do make a lot of those, like those hip packs that are really nice, like not the big ones, just like a little fanny pack. Kafaru actually just sent us one for the giveaway for the BC Sportsman shoot that we're doing. So for the listeners, I'm just going to plug this real quick. We're hosting a live podcast at the BC Interior Sportsman Show. It is April 6th at 3 p.m. So if you're in BC, you want to come check it out, we're going to be talking up there. We're Adam Yankee from Beyond the Kill is going to join us, Mike DeFeo from Hutto. I haven't talked to Jesse Zeman yet, but we're going to try to get him up there. Pete's going to try to make it down.
Well, I'm going to be there.
Okay, Pete says he's going to be there. Maybe we can convince Corey to come. We'll see. But we got a lot of giveaways. So, you know, Vortex, Chipped In, Kafaru, Mistriar, Sitka, that Grackshaw. We got a couple of those boot dryers to give away, or one set actually, I think. We got a couple. Man, we got a whole bunch of stuff. We'll get into it as it gets a little closer. I'll get a full list, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, so those little, you know, like fanny packed style packs are good. I use one of those when I'm turkey hunting, just because I don't like to carry around the big backpack. I just have, you know, all my calls and stuff in the side pouch for the kids and stuff, and whatever they need, bottle of water, something like that. So really good to have. Yes, try not to drop your pack if you can, and that's a good point, Corey. Don't put a bunch of stuff in there you don't need. Now, obviously, this is a trial and error process. It's going to take you a lot of time to figure out exactly what you need and for the type of hunts you're doing. But I guess it's one of those things, right? It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, definitely.
there's a catchphrase for that, and you're packing your fears.
Yeah,
you're packing your fears. That's why when I'm calling in some of these hunters, I always I'll glass them up, and I see their packs are just full, humongous, huge, puffy packs full of everything, the kitchen sink, and I'm like, oh, there's some new guys. It's good.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just you're packing your fears, right? If you're worried about something, you're definitely going to pack probably a little bit extra gear. But
Yeah, and as you get more
trial and errors.
comfortable,
Yeah,
that will change too.
Yeah,
That stuff usually stays in my truck if I can. It's like it's still accessible, but yeah, it's not on my legs
for
and
sure.
my back.
A lot of those, yeah, exactly. A lot of the things too, and like if you're at camp hunting out of your truck, you can keep a lot of that stuff that you think you might need in your truck. Just keep the stuff that you need for immediate use in your backpack. You know, like your first aid kit, your Garmin GPS, whatever you're using, you know, a knife, some game bags if you get an animal down, basically stuff like that you need to. If you get an animal down, you can deal with it, get it out before it gets too hot if you're hunting in the hotter months, so you don't have any meat loss. And then also number one is to make sure that you can get out safely. And then I ran this FHF. Is it FHF? What the fuck this is? Yeah, FHF gear, bino harness. Most of the year, this year I used this. I was running Swaros, the NL Piers, love those. In my little pack, I always have an elk call, always, even if it's not elk season. I have a little multi-tool. This one is a Mossy Oak. I'll put a link in the show notes. This one is great. I had a Leatherman and I lost it. It was a $200 Leatherman. I bought this for $40 and it is pretty much the exact same as the Leatherman. Just doesn't have the Leatherman name. Wind checker always in the other side for sure. And then in my little zipper pocket, I've got a reed I always keep in there. I got a card reader. I like to check my cards at the game camera. Some people like to take them out and check them at home. I don't. This is a little tool that attaches to that Mossy Oak. Now I've switched this out and put all the bits that fit the stuff that I'm using. So like my bow, it's got the Torx head and I need, it's got the Allen key I need, it's got a flat head, everything I need to work on my bow or anything else I'm carrying is in this. I keep that in there. What else I got in here? I think I got a couple cards. Don't need to see those. And a reed, and I use that pretty much all the time. I like to have an extra reed and a call in there, even if I'm not. I've used this call. I've used this elk call. I don't even know who makes this freaking thing. This green, I'll show you. I can't remember. I'm freaking terrible today. Oh, right here. This is the Cowgirl call by Primos. Okay. I've used this thing a lot. And now I use this. I can mimic fawn distress calls in this thing, doe calls, and I also like this when you're predator hunting. If you see a coyote, wolf, or something, you can just make some whiny noises on this thing. So I love that. I always have that call on me at all times, 100%. This FHF pack was pretty good. The only thing I didn't like, now they might have different sizes, I don't know, but the straps on this one, they weren't very adjustable. You can see they're maxed out here.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't like it because it sat too low on my chest. Do you know what I'm saying?
Pulling down on your neck and giving you a sore
Yeah,
neck
I
and
like
stuff.
it. I just like my bino harness a little higher in my chest. Now everybody's different, and that's the thing about these bino packs. And Pete and I, Pete, we've talked about this lots.
Yeah.
You can't always get, like, unfortunately, some things on one brand are going to be, you're going to like, and you're not going to like. And then like one thing on another brand, you're going to really like and not like. So it's just one of those things. And like on fucking bino harnesses, man, I don't know how many bino harnesses I've gone through, but it's been a lot. But next year, I don't think I'm going to run this one. I think I'm going to try something else. And I really do, like in the early season, I really like just having my binos on a strap on my neck and then having my rangefinder. I don't use a pocket for my rangefinder. I always have my rangefinder in my pocket, in my pant pocket or my jacket pocket or my hoodie pocket. So that pretty much wraps up like what's in my everyday pack. Like I said, you could get into a lot of things, but we're just not going to because there's 3 of us. And, you know, there is a lot of like, if you want to get into like the great detailed gear dumps, go over and see Jay Nickel at Mindful Hunter. He's probably the
Yeah.
best in the business at doing gear dumps and getting into gear technical stuff. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I used other than, like, you know, this year I was using that Under Armour gear. It was good, really light. Had no complaints with any of that. I used a rain jacket when I was on the coast. It worked really well for how much it was raining. AKU used their boots. These ones here. I did originally have everything set up, and then I had a hissy fit. So these are the boots I was using in October. You can't get these boots anymore. I don't even remember what the heck these. These are a few years old, but I was blowing through a set of boots every year, and then I started using AKU and made the world of difference. But that being said, I do wear runners. For most of the season now because I'm bow hunting. So I use the AKU runners that they have. And I'll put links up to what I use in the show notes. And then also what we're going to do is we're going to add, I haven't even told you guys about this. What I want to do is I want to add on the webpage a complete gear list of everything we use, just so guys can go and they can click on the gear list, and then they can go down and see what we're running, because we all hunt in different areas, you know. Flat. Pete's really rugged and steep where he is. You know, I'm kind of a mix between Derek and Pete. So for the listeners and people who want to see, they can go over to the webpage soon, check out what we're using and where we got it from, all that stuff. So I'll do that all up. Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, the only thing I think I'm going to change this year is the bino harness. Everything else for the most part will keep the same. You know, I am going to change up my optics this year, but we can get into that later. Don't really need to get in that right now. Yeah. You guys got any questions about my gear?
No, sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, seems pretty solid. It's funny with the bino harnesses. That's what I was just going and grabbing. You know, I've been running this KUIU now for 2 years, and just stuff like this, like you look like it's all loose.
Oh, it's
My
stretched
wind
out.
checker is now falling out, so maybe having a drawstring, and that's on both sides. Hey, like you get to a certain point in its lifespan, and that I don't like that, because reeds and stuff are falling out. Calls. I lost a nice Phelps call this past year because of that, and then having the draw on the top, it's nice, but you got to watch your eye cups. I had an eye cup actually crack, because if it's on the top and then you slam down on it, or like you go right into a prone or crawling, or you have to get out of dodge quick because an animal's spotting you, this top slammed my eyepiece and I actually ended up cracking my eyepiece.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
what kind of binos are you running, Corey, in there?
I'm running, so I got two different kind of styles. Like if I'm doing more, like I was running these,
what are those ones? I can't see. Oh, the Sig Sauer. Yeah,
Sig Sauer, the Kilo 3000 BDXs.
Right.
And I actually run them with my Garmin Tactix watch, so I can run ballistics through my watch integrated with this system.
No shit, eh? So that's a range find. That's their range finding unit.
Yeah, it's a integrated range finding unit. It's good to about 4,000 yards, and then reflective targets. Yeah, it's around 4,000. Yeah, full sunlight. You can push it to past 2,000. I've never had an issue with within the mountains, you know, like you're ranging trees and stuff like that. You don't really have any issues. I think elk size and like actual like that size of target with like fur non-reflective, around 17, 1,800 yards max, and then probably around that 15 to 1,600 for like waving grass. That's like, you know, agricultural stuff. But they've been really good. They're a bit bulky. That's the only thing I kind of I feel like guys would have to get used to, but they're pretty nice. They're pretty robust, and they do have like you can run like a custom profile, and then it's out to like 800 yards. It'll just give you shoot 2 ranges. Then after that, you need like a Kestrel, something like this for like rifle and stuff like that. You know, it's pretty useful. It's just if you have the time, you can really figure out what's going on as far as like your shot and your corrections. But for archery and stuff, it's pretty nice, less movements, right? The only thing though with the size and the weight of it, I have found that it can be kind of difficult when you're trying to run just with one hand and you got your bow in your other hand. It can be kind of heavy. It can kind of induce a little bit of buck fever in you because you're really anxious if you have a real like kind of a rolling hill and you have to be ranging a very fine target. It can be a little bit heavy. Maybe that's where you'd want to have just like your Swaros and then a loose handheld, just single one. So I do have 2 loadouts for that. So I have this for my all around, and I did do some testing on an Everly stock one that Eastman's gave me. And that one I just have my binoculars. That one's really nice. It has on the side, kind of comes across so that if you put your stuff in there, even if it were to be loose, it's still shielded from getting hung on sticks and stuff. It's pretty nice that way. But that's what I'm running for optics. Do you want me to do my gear pack here? I might as well.
You're rolling,
rolling,
buddy. You might as well. And that's a good point too. That's why I switched. Like I was running, I did have I had the Vortex Furies with the built-in rangefinder, but that was one thing when I switched over to just hunting with a bow.
Yeah,
it's impossible. Like it's so hard. You find like you're always, it's just too hard. And then if you invest in a really good, clear rangefinder, you can use it, you know, in close in the places where you're getting in. Once you get into that spot where you're going to set up and wait for the animal to come in, you can use that as your glass. You know, but they do get pricey. They're around $1,000. So, but like I said, I'm investing in it as basically a second set of binoculars.
Yeah. And like, I think it was 2016. I was running a Vectronics PLR F15 for it's like a long range level rangefinder. At the time, it was way before Sig Sauer and all those other manufacturers were out. And those one, like that one was like a huge bulky rangefinder, and that one I had to have its own separate harness. And then I would just like I'd have it in an actual harness, and then I would run like you said, like an exposed, like I had HD razors, and I'd like pull them down and tuck them under, so that would be like drawstring, and then you could just range. But that one, like that's when rangefinders were absolutely huge, eh? So just something to kind of consider. You know, you might have to configure it whatever your needs are for your hunt, but that's
I switched to the full screen here because you're obviously a lot more organized than I am. So everybody here, we'll get it full screen.
And I will say that I have 3 types of setups. Just you know, I got an early season in archery. It's lightweight, skim down temperature, and then a late season kind of loadout, which does have, you know, a setup for archery or like an earlier season rifle. And then an extreme weather setup. And because, you know, you don't want to be stop hunting because it's -25 or -20 or -30. But when you do that, you do have some pretty extreme needs as far as protection. So just talking about so obviously depending on the hunt, like you had said earlier, will depend on that. Like say if I'm doing overnights, you know, we're not getting into shelters, but you know, like a two person MSR is a good or a Seek Outside 4 season. If there's any even remote chance of snow, I'm going with 4 season. Probably carbon fiber isn't going to work. You might need to have aluminum. I know it's an added weight, but just with snow potentially landing on you, that's going to probably potentially collapse your shelter, eh? So and then, you know, just some lightweight stuff I've used in the past, you know, a Nemo mattress,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know, a Seek Outside, so like a DST tarp, the TP, but you need a trekking pole, so you know that's something to consider too. And then potentially like the Twilight or Red Cliff for like a TP open shelter. The only thing though is if there is even the remote chance of ticks, I would just go with the MSR, just because it does have some protection versus those other ones are open floor, but they are super lightweight.
I went on a bear hunt in this one spring, and I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Like I have you know, I've got both TP and, you know, floorless and floored tents. For this hunt, for some reason, I just brought a shelter and I just basically hung a shelter up over and I was sleeping on the ground. Holy fuck, was there a lot of ticks. Like I wake up in the morning and like after I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? I'm going in like the perfect time for ticks.
Yeah.
And I'm sleeping on the ground here. So yeah, that's one really good point is, you know,
everyone wants to be super lightweight, and there is some even lighter stuff. Like I was discussing with one of my friends, you know, he you know, bivy tarp, but that's the thing, you're compromising protection against the elements, protection against bugs, and cold, right? So you know, bivy sack hunting is not something that's for everybody, so just you might want to test that out before you got all your gear with you and then you got water. Because that's one thing, like, oh yeah, everyone packs it on. Oh, it's pretty good. It's not too bad. But then you have a hotter hunt and you need a lot more water, and then you double down on your water. And then before you know it, you're way over your weight limit, right? So just some consideration. So I won't pull anything out, but just something to consider. And then just like you, titanium deep spoon, fork thing kind of thing. Some way to have, you know, we're using all these Peaks meals and stuff like that, some real lightweight option. And then I'm running the wind burner tube, the 1 liter, just with how like extreme the wind is, it's pretty important that you have, like, Jetboil is pretty good too.
That's an MSR, right?
Yeah, MSR, pretty awesome. I've never had it go out on me. I've never had any issues with it. The little starter that comes with it doesn't work, so some sort of light or something. But
and that's a good spot too. Mine is the same. It's the same setup as yours. I keep everything together like that, and I do keep a little lighter in there as well. Just because those starters, they never freaking work on those things.
Yeah, and then too, again, just test it out, right? Because then you know how many fuel cells you need, how much fuel you're going to be going through. Having a hot meal does kind of help with especially if you're getting into cold weather stuff. But again, there's more weight, right? So something to consider.
Or even a warm drink too is nice. Like a lot of times you get into those like long days, like long mornings of glassing. It's a little colder than you think, man. It's nice to have like a warm tea or warm coffee.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's dependent on how much weight you're willing to carry. I've been doing a lot more in and outs, day hunts, just because I don't like to fully commit to an area, especially with elk. If I hike a big, like I just increased my fitness to deal with that. So if I hike a big section, if I don't find elk, I'm confident that with my calling and where I'm at with my glassing, that if I cover an area, I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
At least for a week. So I have different spots I'll hit. So, you know, if you're going to commit to an area and go steep and deep, you know, that's something you want to consider and probably try out in the preseason. And then obviously we already talked about my Bino harness. It's a good harness. There's something that too for like rifle guys. So I put in here, and this is a Tempe sensor. And you know, this is something that for long range shooters. So this sensor communicates with my watch, which communicates with my rangefinder, all in unison. And so it provides a atmospheric adjusted shot. So it actually is on the outside of my Bino harness, just something to consider too. You know, some of the refresh rates with this, it's not for snap shooting. It's like really fast. You know, you do have to make sure that everything has got your connectivity before you head out in the morning. And then you want to probably turn it off because it's a battery drainer. But if you're taking the longer shot, or you want the absolute best shot equation, and it does have a range card and AB ballistics on here too. So you can actually go into, like, I'll show you here. You can
That's
go
wild.
into a range card where I don't know if you can see that. It can
Yeah,
show
yeah.
you all
Oh,
your
yeah.
different, and it's
Oh, that's sweet.
specific to your profile for your rifle.
What Garmin is that?
That's the Tactics X solar with applied ballistics.
Nice. Yeah, I got the Phoenix Solar Phoenix, and it's great. Like I use it. A lot of I like. It's funny. Like my watch, other than like when I'm hunting, maybe I'll set a location or something, but it is connected to my phone. But most of my stuff, activity with my watch is for training. So everything you have there, is it interchangeable? Like it doesn't have to be Sig Sauer specific. It's not all the same brand, is it? Like you can run, like you can connect it all together. Like the connectivity is really easy. It's really simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, if I were to go away from SIG, there'd be some figuring out to do. I mean, some of the BDX is specific for Bluetooth, but just how good the technology's become now and how budget friendly. Like I mean, like that one binocular, you could probably change it with anything, right? It's just making sure that it's compatible with whatever watch you're using. And I mean, these like you don't need all this stuff, right? This is just a redundancy. And that's what I've learned because I've had where if this guy doesn't work, my Kestrel for some of my shots, and I'm not going to use it every time, I need this to work. And if this doesn't work, I need this to work. And you know, you just having that, especially with cold weather, you need to have redundancies built into everything. If it's nice weather, 20 degree, I can just run my watch, and that's what I do, right? But you know, just getting into minus 20, stuff starts breaking and batteries run out, even fresh batteries, stuff like that. So, you know, that's just something to consider. Have some sort of redundancy built into your system. I'm using the Icon Pro KUIU pack. And you know, like talking about interchangeability in these two waist strap pouches, that's where I have different stuff. If it's archery, I'll have a bow cover. If I need to hike through a real terrible spot, I'll just throw this over my cams, because I've had sticks kind of start fraying peeps and stuff where it's tied in, and especially with like bear country and stuff, you know, be kind of the area that Pete's in. You get some of that buck brush and you're trying to avoid some area that you're getting cliffed out. I've had it with one of my friends, Brett, where we just had to climb through some nasty stuff and your bow is just getting destroyed. So like your strings, your cables, they're all getting frayed. And then I'll just throw this over if it's downpouring too, just to protect my string a little bit further. And then obviously some sort of adapter for my binoculars to go with some tripod. You know, I always have that with me. And you know, that's part of the early season. Like if I'm mule deer hunting, I'm probably, unless I'm spotting from a truck, I'm not going to be taking out my big spotters, like stuff like this, like with a Manfrotto. I have a Manfrotto 8000 carbon, big tripod. You know, maybe if you have two people, you could split it between two different guys, but unless you're really concerned about covering some serious range with glass, and I'm like, you can't see far enough in some of those areas, I would just stick to something with your binoculars, maybe. And my other setup is a Leopold gold ring, a small condensed one, because I find after 30 power, it's diminishing returns for some of the hunts that I'm on. And you know, this is just what works for me. Might not work for you, but that's the point, right? You gotta try stuff to figure out what works for you. And then just in this pouch, you know, and if I'm gonna go on a stalk, I got my InReach Mini here. And then that's all integrated into apps on my phone. And then I'll always have this, and I'll just clip it on. If I'm going to dump my pack, I'll just clip this onto my bino harness, and away we go. And then mouth reeds and chapstick, stuff like that. Another wind checker that's accessible. I always have one full one on my harness and then one ready to go in my pack. So if I'm elk hunting, I'm having a really obsess about what's going on with wind, I always have one accessible. And then I always have a puffy coat. Sorry there, guys. Doesn't matter If it's an early season or not, I'll always have something that resembles, and if you're just new to hunting or you don't have like a full kit, don't worry about that. You know, it doesn't need to be a brand name puffy coat that's, you know, First Light or Under Armour, Sitka or Kuiu. You know, with some of my buddies, I just tell them go to like Atmosphere or somewhere at the end of the season, like in the middle of summer, and go to that clearance rack, and you're gonna find something. I found really nice, like really nice Columbia, you know, for under $100, and it was 400.
And those extreme, like those guys that use those are just as good, or a lot of them are even better than the stuff you get that's camo. It's just not camo. Like it's just, you can find a black one or a gray one or a green one, and they're actually better. Like some of that stuff that they have for mountaineering and stuff is actually a lot better than they built for hunting. It's just not in a camo pattern.
And I think what everybody has to remember too is this has taken every one of us years and years and years of accumulating. Like it's not like our very first puffy jacket or, you know, binos or whatever. We're the top of the line. You know, you get the best of what you can right now. You do your research and you use it for as many years as you can. And then you upgrade slowly. Like, nope, the average person can't just go and buy the top of the line stuff all the time. You've got to figure out what works for you, what you need. Talk to your buddies about why they have what they have and see if it's for you. And then you know, over the years, you buy quality, you buy the best quality you can. And then over the years, you upgrade it. And eventually you don't have to upgrade it because that shit's going to last you a long ass time.
Yeah, that's a great point, Pete. It's funny that you say that because that's exactly what I tell people is you got to get the basics to get out there. Probably wouldn't go with like the top of the line that someone else is using. I would probably just get what you need, get out there, invest in getting experience, invest on figuring out what your strengths are. Cause I call primarily for elk. Well, some guys, they spot and stock more for elk primarily. So, you know, like just those little nuances, you're going to find that some piece of gear really is crucial that, you know, some of us will be like, yeah, I would never pack that. Right. So, you know, you don't want to waste a bunch of money. You want to invest in the hunt primarily at the start, and then you can start building gear around your strengths and your kind of like your hunt style. Like maybe I got to be really mobile. Maybe I'm not a backcountry guy. Maybe I am, right? You know, so that's going to kind of dictate the way that you navigate the gear spectrum. And two, just making sure that you're investing in good gear that's going to last you for the conditions that you're in. And then once you figure that out, figuring out how you can integrate them all together and keeping track of what's working, what's not, so that we're not gadget. Because it's funny, you'll see a spectrum. You'll see the guys that they get her done in jeans and flannel, and they don't think any of this is necessary. And then you got the really technical guys, but they're almost gadget crazy. They're just, it's all about the gadget. The gadget's going to make me a better hunter. Well, that's not true either. You have to be kind of in the middle. You need to have good gear that keeps you comfortable and out in the field as long as possible, so that you're getting that little edge to be successful, and then not getting, you know, especially with cold weather gear, you definitely need a certain level of kit. But yeah, that's a great point. And that's what all this is, right? Just, you need some level of protection. Doesn't need to be anything crazy. You know, I've had that coat for a long time. It's really good stuff. Kuiu, Sitka. Guys, like, stuff is really good now. It's hard to nitpick. There might be some minor fit stuff. That's what I would say. It's just get out there and figure out what, if you want to stick with Kuiu, Sitka, First Light, or Under Armour, figure out what fits you right, what's ergonomically fitting you right. I feel like that's why a lot of gear fails, is if it's not quite fitting you right and you're crawling around, you're ripping the armpits. If you're a bigger guy, just make sure that you spend that time to figure out if your kit is going to fit you right. And then just moving on, I always have, and obviously if it's super dry and I'm hunting mule deer, like this is all going to be skimmed down, but some rain gear, and like I'm running the Yukon and then Kunach bottoms. I've never had any issues with any of this stuff. You know, this is for a more torrential downpour. It is noisier though, so that is something that you do have to consider. Any rain gear is going to kind of, you hear a little bit of rubbing, it is going to be noisier. So, you know, that's another thing that you have to be conscious of if you're going to be running rain gear. archery, it's going to be really tough. Same thing with your gators. Really pay attention to those clicks, clangs, like we talked about earlier, and then rubbing. And then obviously have a cover. This Icon pack's been really good to me. I probably packed out 5 or 6 bulls, bull elk, and 1 moose, bunch of mule deer with it, and it's never been any issues. The frame, I think, is at its limit at about 150 pounds, but again, just making sure that's comfortable for your body type. This might not work for you, right? You might want to use a Mystery Ranch or an Exo, just, you know, or a Sitka. You got to get them on. You got to feel them, feel how a pack that's fitting you, right? Like my friend Brett, we're packing really steep, and he didn't have a pack that was set up right. It was too tall, and it's just constantly pulling him back, and it was just blowing out his Achilles. And did a couple minor adjustments to fitment, and you know, it's his favorite pack now. Before, he was ready to just throw it down the hill. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
And then just a kill kit, obviously. And then bear spray if you're running some areas, you'd like, if you're running a shotgun, you'd have to have a discharge permit for some of the areas in southern Alberta. So
Really?
if you want to, yeah.
Holy shit.
Kind of ridiculous, honestly, but that's just the way it is. So to be in compliance with that, you know, or you're gonna run bear spray. So I kind of opt to run bear spray and just have my bow with me. But that's a personal choice. And then I'm just running the Benchmade saddle Skinner. And then my wife gave me a real fancy Damascus knife too that I run. Wicked knife. The only thing is though with these like fixed blades, and like it's good to have that option of like you said, the outdoor edge. We used that out on my last moose. We use those outdoor edges on all of them just because certain animals, they just eat up the blades, and you would want to have some sort of sharpening stone. That's a must. I ran out of knife on one of my bulls, and holy crap, I might as well have been trying to take the head off with a butter knife. So, and I forgot this in my truck. So just some sort of sharpening tool, like even if you get the Lansky, and I snapped off the handle and separated the actual, just the bar in a diamond, like a diamond dust blade bar, just so that you can get through a big elk or a moose. Hey, that's pretty important. Or if you're hunting with buddies, you potentially could get 2 or more down. You know, it's something that you have to consider. And then yeah, I have like exactly like you have, Kevin. Just go through quickly the rest of my stuff here. A Baco. I use this stuff at work. It's European, outstanding stuff. I think Snap-on owns them. And I'm kind of like a saw maniac. I've wrecked so many saws, and a lot of the guys will say, well, you know, you don't need a saw for taking a head off. Well, this is for utility. This is for fire. This is for hanging bags. Like if you get a bull elk down and you're struggling to find limbs, this sucker saved my ass on 2022. I climbed up in a tree a little bit, sawed off a limb, and then you can put some paracord around your game bags and get it hanging. Hey, in those hot weather conditions, that's an absolute must. It has to be in the shade, and it has to have air movement around those quarters, otherwise you'll lose meat. So, you know, that's what I use this for. Just saw it off and leave about that much left, and then just hook on ropes and stuff like that. And then 2, I've had to use this for longer shots. You know, with rifle, if you need to clear out branches that you're afraid you're gonna contact, or you need a shooting lane. Same thing with building a blind. If you're gonna do ambush stalks with or blind sits, having something utility like this, it's lightweight.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're not expensive, and it's a really good saw. It's really impressed me. I've used it on 3 elk now, and a couple of mule deer hunts and stuff like that. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Yeah, I've never even, I don't even use mine like for cutting bone or anything, but I mean, I do use it a lot. I actually just got this thing. I used it this year. It was absolutely money. What I really liked about this one is that it's small and compact, but
Oh yeah.
The saws are definitely handy. And like when we were setting Wyatt's backpack up and we were going through his gear list, I was like, you need a saw in your back. He's like, really? I'm like, yes, trust me.
Yeah,
gotta
you
use
do,
it.
especially for
Yeah.
fire. If you're struggling, you don't want to use your knife. That's
I
not
don't
gonna last.
I use mine all the time. Like
Yeah.
if I'm sitting in a blind, if I'm setting my blinds up, I'll be clearing lanes. If I'm sitting in a tree stand, I'll be clearing lanes or just like hunting in general. You know, like even if I'm walking into an area and I'm going elk hunting, I'll do a little bit of bush clearing on the way in, just in case I get lucky. And then for the way out, it's just one less thing I have to do.
Yeah, for sure. And always have these, whether they're in the truck. If I'm mule deer hunting, I won't carry them on me, unless my shelter is requiring this, like a one-person shelter. But I would say that you must have these in case you have a bad pack out or you're in a steep terrain. Even if you got to go back to the truck, like Peter's saying, like some of this stuff you can just throw in the truck. And like you're saying on your one hunt, you can have some pretty robust stuff. So second trip, you might want these, right? So
Yeah.
throw them in your truck if you're not going to have them with you. Bladders and stuff, cold weather, always have two of these, maybe a big one and one of these just because of the freezing. And then I've noticed that for me personally, I'll run the bladders when I'm doing mule deer stalks. For elk, it's funny, I've ran out of water twice now. Brutal. So, you know, 3 liters I found for me that's enough to hunt. It's not enough to pack out. So 4 liters if you shoot an elk for me. So I like to I'll probably switch this out to a 2 liter and a 2 liter and then even it out for weight, but a 3 liter is what I've been running. And then like you're saying, some like not to get too into the water filtration side, but you just need something, either if you're going to do a day, you need to have something in an emergency to get water. I ran out of water in 2022. You want to talk about misery? That's miserable. You run out of water. So just having iodine pills, and with like some sort of pump system, whatever works for you, life straw, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like something really light that you can access in case of emergency, if something were to happen to you. And then obviously you'll have your big kits with like your dirty water systems and all that if you're going to do overnights. And then always having extra reeds in my main pocket. So I like these little Phelps. I'm not sure if anybody else is running these, but they're just like you can just stack in a bunch of them. So and you're probably the same way, Kevin. You'll have a couple reeds that are worked in and ready to go, and that's kind of what I'll do with this. You know, when I'm cold calling, I'll have a couple reeds. I'm kind of seasoning, working in to make sure they're sounding good, and then as soon as they're at that point, I'll kind of switch them in here, and then I'll have my oldest ones on the front and then my newest ones in the back to kind of start getting them ready. So I'll have a spare one of these in here, and then I'll have one kind of around my neck hanging off to the side on my vinyl harness, just so I can access them and you know, call if you need to switch calls for cow calls, stuff like that. It's ready and accessible. And then just quickly here, always have a merino base layer. I'm aware that the merino isn't very durable. It can catch, so be prepared to take a shit kicking with your merino. But I just don't smell when I wear these. So I like the half zip, like the 145. Anything that's like a lighter weight merino for like mule deer and stuff. I like the half zip. So if I get really overheated, I can zip it down and have my chest kind of exposed to get some air movement. And then you still have the option, if you're sitting there, you're not so hot that you're worried about running your hood so you don't get sunburnt. And I do like the long sleeve just to give you some level of protection, whether that's I got a nasty bug bite on my arm running t-shirts. This will just potentially protect you against that and keep ticks out of your arms and stuff, right? So definitely have that no matter what. And then obviously you're gonna have your soft layer, your like your just your standard hunting coat depending on the conditions, but that's a regardless. And then some gloves or something, you know, whether that's just like a fleece or whatnot. And then I'm running I run headlamps a lot in my work life. Like we do go in a lot of confined space, so I'm really switched on when it comes to headlamps. I might go to one of the Peaks ones because I find the red light is pretty interesting, but this is like a spelunking level one. So it's very bright. It has a shut off that you can locked it out. So that's a feature that you'd want to look at. And then if you can, focus on what type of battery charging adapters you have and kind of uniform them all together across all your platforms. That way you can interchangeably use everything and charge stuff up. And extra cords and stuff like that. And that's pretty well it. You know, other than that, so this is like a standard kit. Like obviously there's some stuff that's going to change. Like if I'm running my bow, I got a spare release of some sort with me, right?
Yeah,
And
in a
then,
little bow kit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then with the rifle stuff, I have a Kestrel that goes in place of that, and then like a little ammo storage thing on the pouch. So you know, it's a lot of stuff. I'm a stuff guy.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Pete. I don't know what happened there. I just heard him. Shit, he had to run off.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my loadout.
Dude, that was awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
really well detailed. We should let you win first. So I'm gonna add a couple things that I totally forgot. Like I said, I had everything nice and displayed on my table, and then I had a complete hissy fit when I couldn't get my audio working. So so this is the Plinter pack from Mystery Ranch, and the same thing with you, Corey. Like I run a little satchel off the belt of it, and it doesn't have anything normal, but I just use that for stuff like a grab and go stuff. So like I'll throw a wind checker in there. I'll throw an extra reed in there. If it's getting close to dark and I'm, you know, grabbing a drink of water, I'll throw my headlamp in there, which I'm running the Phoenix headlamp, and I don't love those. I really do like the Peaks ones that I was looking at those. The problem with the Phoenix is you hit the button and it's really easy to hit the button. So it you know, if you're moving around lots or you bump it in your pack or in your pocket, you turn the headlight on and it's off. So that's why I really like that Peaks one that has the double button.
Oh, yeah.
And some utility and rope too. Paracord, I always have that, and a sharpener. So for me, I use the Scotty sharpener, just a regular old. You'll see if anybody's ever been on a commercial fishing boat, they'll see one on those. See one of those on there. They're absolutely deadly. And obviously in my bow kit too, I have extra releases, all that stuff. But I mean, like my bow kit, it could take half an hour to go through. So I'll leave that out. But
yeah, and then so just with this guy, I'll show you. Just the way it sits.
Oh yeah,
kind of nice. Like it.
Is that rechargeable as well? Is that rechargeable?
That's why I kind of like it, because it's not sorry, this way. It's not I don't really feel it, right? Like you can suck it really tight into the back, and that's one thing that, like, if you're blasting through brush and stuff or high wind, because like my job is all high wind type environment, you want something that's really secure. And then you do have, like, it is a very bright light. It's wicked, but like I say, like just like what you're interested in with the Peaks, that's something that I'm probably going to be looking at just for hikes in with that red light.
Yeah, for sure. You couldn't hear me there. Is that rechargeable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start so I think I'm gonna switch everything. Like a couple years ago, I switched everything so it would just take those CR 123 batteries, all the same short little stub. They looked like a AA, but half the size.
Yeah.
I switched everything so it was running those, but I think I'm gonna switch everything now to where it's just strictly rechargeable. And then just get rid of the batteries if I can't help it altogether.
Yeah, this one's both. It's rechargeable, or you can use AAAs if you have to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
a good option.
If you're like in a bad spot, and it lasts pretty good. I think it's a max level. I can probably do 3 to 4 days. As long as you're being careful not to, like, you only use it when you have to, and you're like, you probably, like, if you're setting up your camp, you might, like, I'm not saying to go right to last light. Like, obviously, if you're on elk or deer or something, you got something going on, go for it. But if you don't have any action, just as long as you're aware of your time frames and getting stuff going, if you do need it, it's not a big deal, right? You're not going to run out.
Yeah. One thing I want to add to, so with my charging stuff, what I switched to this year is, you know how they've come out with all those quick charging cables? I've switched everything to quick charge.
Oh yeah.
It just saves you so much time, where you can charge your phone in a fraction of the time. You can charge your headlamp like yours if you had to in a fraction of the time. So it's worth investing in those little things. Makes your life a lot easier, especially if you know, you're halfway through dressing an elk or something and the battery starts to get low, you could quickly pull out another light like this, my little flex tail blower there has a light on it. You could pull it out and then quickly charge that one.
Just to get you through it. And too, like exactly like that big battery pack that you have there that you were showing. I have something similar to that, and it's got a booster cable set up.
Yeah,
too, right?
That's exact same as this one does. So, and like you can see, it's pretty small. It's hard to tell, AP, because my hands are so big.
Fingerly hands. Fucking size.
But yeah,
small.
it's not overly huge, and it's nice. I think I paid like $150 for that. But that thing battery will last forever, and I have also used that thing. When it was funny, when I was coming back from my last hunt on the island, I had to take a ferry, and I was listening to a podcast, had my key on, and the battery went dead. And I went to start, so I pulled that thing out quickly, put it on my truck, and it boosted my diesel enough to jump off. So anyway, yeah, good job. Thanks, Corey. Pete, what do you got? I'll switch over now to you. Now I'll put you on the spotlight here.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I don't do any of the backcountry, well, backcountry, but I don't sleep overnight. I do have some back issues I have to be wary of. So I'm a lot of day trips, but I am in the back. So
and the thing about day trips too is like not everybody has, like a lot of guys that are working, they have 2 weeks off, and that's the standard time off for any job. And if you have 2 weeks off, and if you're spending all your holiday time to do hunts and stuff like that, and you have a family at home, that's pretty selfish to spend, to do that. So, and there's nothing wrong with just hunting weekends, hunting after work, hunting when you can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, this year I didn't, do any major big trips, and, I was still successful, and, Corey is the same. And, you don't have to do these big mountainous excursions to be successful.
No, not at all. Exactly. Like Pete, like I same thing. Like I haven't been doing overnights either. And because it's pretty effective, it's in and outs, the area you're going to cover. You got a hunt plan, like we talked about with Treeline Academy. Having those hunt plans keeps you efficient, so you're not screwing around. You know where you're going to go, and then you can build your kit around what distance you're going to go and what terrain, where you're going to be, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I stay out in the bush. Just, I've got a central camp usually, with the trailer and stuff like that. So
like
I'm
a
doing
spike camp kind of deal.
Well, even like I'm lucky where I am. Like I have lots of road access to certain areas, so I can haul my travel trailer out to an area. And if I got to get up to the top of the mountain, it just means I'm hiking in the dark. That's all there is to it. I'm leaving at 4 a.m. and I'm hiking 2-3 hours to get from point A to point B, depending on where I am. Other times it's more, we'll be glassing slides, we'll be glassing basins and stuff, and be like, okay, that's tomorrow's plan. If you don't have enough time when you find something, or you're just hiking, plain and simple. You cover ground, try to figure out where you are. So I am in the bush a lot. I'm not my back. I can't trust it to hike up to the top of the mountain, and I'm going to camp at the top of the mountain. Like that's my plan. I'm not doing that. I can't do it. So I just have to understand what my body's capable of. And I love walking. So I'll hike to the top, but I got to plan that. I got to be, I'm not spending the night up there on purpose.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
But prepared if you have to.
Yeah. But prepared if I have to. So saying that, this year I ran similar gaiters from APE. These things have taken a shit kicking, and I've got nothing but praise for them. The materials, top notch, all the little tiny things that we talk about, buckles, straps, all that kind of stuff. I found them super easy to take on and off, and they really helped me through all the moose hunting I did this year, and late season. I'll use them through the snow, obviously, and all that kind of stuff as well.
How are they for noise, Pete?
They were really good. You still have to watch. I don't think it matters. Overall, really, really good. But I think when it comes to, your bottom section of all your gaiters is going to be the hardest material just for wear and tear. So I don't think you're ever going to find one that's silent. But I did find them running. My other buddy had a set of Scree ones, and literally we're walking side by side. And these APE ones were night and day quieter overall. We're walking through the same stuff side by side. And so there is a difference there. So I really like these ones for that. I haven't run a ton of other ones, so I can't compare them to that. But I run into some gnarly shit. So I will be running these for a while.
Yeah,
And,
safe to say, if they were going to tear prematurely, you probably would have put them through that, and they would have failed.
Oh, they've been through hell and back. So yeah, they get my thumbs up without a doubt. Another thing I run, obviously I've got my rain gear with me all the time. I run Scree. I've been running them for 3-4 years now. Little things. I mean, it's nothing for most people, but they actually have them labeled too. So when you put your pants in there, you can just quickly run in, grab your pants or your jacket. That's just a personal thing for me, you know.
Rain gear too. That's one thing. Sorry, Pete. One thing I forgot to add too is I always do have a set of rain gear, tops and bottoms, in my pack.
Yeah. And I'll use those for even in the cold weather, just as a windbreak. Like, it doesn't have to be raining. For me. It's just like, use them as much as you can for different situations, right? So,
well, and that comes down to like layering systems and stuff. Like, a lot of people think that the rain gear is just for rain, but no, if you're in a windy situation, you put a puffy on and then with a rain jack over it, fuck man, you're warm. Like, I've sat up on this hillside glassing for goats on the coast, and that's run that. Forget about it.
It's money. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So,
and
go ahead.
Just sorry, but this one thing I was going to add, guys need to keep track of your comfort level, right? Like, if you're like, as you're going through your hunts, I kind of started making like not really like a log, but like something that I noticed, like, hey, I was wearing this was the conditions, like, this is unacceptable. Like, I'm not doing good in this. Like, if I were to have shot an animal, I would have been hurting really bad, like cold wise or like wet. So, you know, like, write down this is what the conditions were. This is what kind of the terrain was. This is what I was wearing. I was too hot, too cold, too wet, whatever. And then make those little adjustments and tweaks, so that you're not over prepared, but if you're under prepared, you're really going to notice that. And that as soon as I started doing that, your layering system starts making a hell of a lot more sense to you. Like, hey, I have to have this in these conditions. There's no guesswork, right? You have it kept track of, and you label everything out, and you say, okay, it's this. These are the conditions. Okay, I need this, this, and this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I've been doing over the years too, is kind of pulling stuff out, bringing stuff in. Yeah, until you have it kind of wielded down for your territory and stuff. Knife wise, my main knife is actually one of these swing blades. I love this thing. It's just got a little button release. It's kind of a 2-in-1. There's your gut hook. It's not like you can't do it with a straight up.
Those work really good though. I had one too, and
then
ended up in Hunt or Wyatt's bag.
Oh yeah, so you picked out again.
One thing when you have kids that get into hunting, like, I guarantee you, if I miss anything, I go look at his bag. I'm like, you
little shit.
Yeah, like, don't pull it out if you want something or you feel you need something. Don't take it from my bag without telling me.
Oh,
because I'm the shits. I won't. I'll just assume something's in there, and then I'll get to the bush and be like, Wyatt.
Yeah, give me it. I know you have it.
Especially
if he's not there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially with gloves, Kevin. You're gonna notice that. Like, where are my $200 like state-of-the-art grommet down gloves?
And now
I'm freezing my ass off.
For sure, man. Like, he's always like, one thing I noticed too is like, because his feet are getting really big, and like he starts wearing my shoes all the time and all my stuff. Eventually, then it's gonna be like my clothes, and it'll be like my hunting clothes, and it'll just be everything. Yeah,
you should get yourself a set of these. These are really comfortable.
Yeah,
these are
Dad, you need
now.
a set of these.
Yeah. So going on, this is just part of my kill kit as well. I've got one of these from Gerber as well. I use this to get through just the pelvis, and I'll actually go right up through the ribs and stuff too, so I don't actually have to go elbows deep up into a moose or elk. I've used this thing on shit tons of deer, an elk, a moose. I can't tell you how many deer. I'm still on the same saw. You can get those bigger be a little nicer to have a bigger one, which they do have for the moose and elk, just so you get a bigger stroke for getting through the pelvis and ribs and stuff, if that's what you got to do. I love that. I may invest in a bigger one, and then when I'm elk hunting, I'll bring that one and just have this one in the truck. And when I switch over to late season into deer, I'll put the big one away, and I'll just pack the small one because it's all you need. As for water bladders, I switched over this year. I went to 3-liter as well. I was finding the same things. I think this one I got this on Amazon. You don't have to pay the name brand stuff for some of these things. And I think this thing was like $35, $40. And I think it's Marchway or something like that. But the thing I like the most about this, it's got a shut-off valve right there. And then it's got a couple quick disconnects.
And a cover.
So having the insulated wraparound for this, it just keeps.
Is that like a
it from freezing.
neoprene over top of that hose?
Yeah, it's
That
neoprene
is-
over
yeah.
top. So I try to keep as much in my pack, like with my hose as possible in late season, because it doesn't take you long to figure out how long it takes for shit to freeze up and you can't get your water out. But yeah, I love having it. And then it also has a cap on here too, which I've noticed helps out a lot. I don't know how many times I have had stuff leaking. I forget to shut it off or whatever. And then, you sit back on it or what. And then next thing you know, the bottom of your pack soaks. Now your rain gear's freaking, it's all saturated.
Or covered in dirt.
Yeah. So a bit of a pain in the ass. So I really enjoyed that thing this year. It was better than my old ones without a doubt. Going back to my knives that I forgot about, I do keep a spare one. This is a Limitless. This is actually from Hudo. So just in case I run out of knife on my main ones, I've got a spare one. These things are like freaking razor blades. So you got to be really, really careful with those things, or like a scalpel. I mean,
probably pretty awesome for keeping though, if you needed to get in there. Yeah,
absolutely. If I were definitely keeping something out, that's what I would use. But generally I just run that fixed, just that swing blade for my general stuff. But yes, that Limitless knife is really nice for those keeping and things like that, if that's what you're going to do. I run a headlamp. I usually have 2 headlamps actually. And we had a guest on who gave us that tip of he flips one. I can't remember who it was exactly. Flip one battery in your headlamp around. So I don't know how many times I've accidentally bumped it. And it's turned on in my backpack and I don't even know it until I go to use it and be like, no, these are brand new batteries. And it's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. And that's one of the problems with mine. And then that's what I really like about those Peaks ones is you have to double click them. They won't turn on if you just click them. Yeah, you have to actually, and you can't just like click it and then click it. It has to be it's the same. This FlexTail has this little,
okay.
It has the same thing. You have to push it really quick. So it won't be like, you can't accidentally turn it on.
Well, I like that. Yeah, that's good. I run similar stuff. I've always got flagging tape with me for following blood trails and stuff, marking, well, especially marking where I shot from. Because you walk up to where it was and you turn around and it's like, fuck, was it that bush or that bush? Because some of the shit I hunt is so tight. It's just like immediately flagging tape comes out. If you get a good solid hit, tie it on right where you started. And then every blood drop. Every single blood drop, I will put flagging tape so that it's like, shit, I just lost track. I can look backwards. I can step back. So I keep a lot of it with me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about putting it where you shoot from. I always put it same thing. Every drop or almost every drop if it's really close, but and then you look back, I mean, you can get a basic trajectory, but if you have a point of like where you shot from.
Well, and especially if you're shooting with a rifle or something like that, like let's say you shoot through a little ravine, and I'm not talking a super duper far shot, but even 100 yards, if you got a couple big strands of flagging tape where you were, you can take a range as to where that animal was, and you walk down there. Well, now when you're looking back, it looks totally different, but it's like all of a sudden I know it was 123 yards. Well, I can go to where I think it was. I can see my flagging tape back there. I can range that flagging tape and be like, okay, I'm not quite as far as I should be. Or I need to go a little farther.
To find the initial blood. Yeah.
That's right.
Point of impact. I get you. That's a good point.
You could have 2 spots that look very identical when you get up to it. So I've got a big first aid kit in my truck that my hunting partners always know where it is. I've always got a little one here that I keep in my my pack as well. It's got, all the little stuff that you need, super glue, all that kind of stuff, in case you got to glue your cut together or something like that. There was a compression bandage that I do want to get. I saw it in a first aid course that I just took last year, and I haven't found it yet in the stores, but it's just basically it's super thick. It's got to be like this thick. You can wrap it around, you can tighten it up, and it's basically, if you get like you got to stop bleeding or something like that in your leg, your arm, or whatever, it fits all different sizes. I know they weren't expensive or anything. I just haven't found the right one. That's going to be the next edition that I have in my first aid kit, and that'll be one that actually goes in my backpack too. But I don't have it to show anybody yet.
Have you guys ever seen these long med things? I don't know if anybody can see them. So they're like a bandage, but they have like these little zap straps on them, and you clean your area, your cut really well. Put them on there, and you pull the 2 zap straps. Like these are little adhesive bandages, and they stick like you wouldn't believe. And it basically, it's like a stitch. We put it on. We were at the folks' house last year, and Wyatt got a golf club in the head from, well, right in his forehead from his nephew, from his cousin. So I mean, you know, it's like a golf club, an iron to the head, it's freaking split open. And we're in Rock Creek, right? We're an hour and a half from Kelowna, and 25 minutes from the Soyuz, but there's nothing in the Soyuz. Grand Forks is about 45 minutes away, nothing really there. And I used one of those things, and man, like even on his head where there was hair and stuff, it still worked effectively.
Yeah, we use those in our first aid course, the same place where I saw the other stuff. And yeah, those things are awesome.
Yeah, crazy.
Really good thing to have. This is more of a, once I get late September, October, I've always got some hand warmers. Always a few sets.
Those hands of yours are so soft. You need to keep.
I need 2 to cover one, Kevin.
Yeah, you need the foot ones, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I run some Hudo bags as well.
Yeah,
I just find them very durable,
and you can reuse
breathable.
them, which I love.
Yeah, I love being able to wash. I've always got extra batteries. That's another thing. Both AA's, AAA's, and we just got a slightly different carry system for my reeds there. I think I actually stole this plastic thing from one of the original Primos calls that I used, but I don't run Primos. I run Wapiti River, but I was like, man, this thing's perfect. So I actually just drilled a whole bunch of holes into it so they breathe and dry out. So they're not sitting there getting soggy. And then I've always got this case too. It just stays in my pack because I got too many calls, but I think Wapiti River just has this case where you can hold just a buttload of calls and stuff. So that just sits in one of my side pockets if I end up wearing out a few calls, but I usually break them all in. Anything that I carry out there is already broken in. They're ready to go. I don't bring out brand new reeds with me unless it's an emergency. My bino harness, this is Alaska Guide, is what I prefer. But this right here, just like you guys were saying, the Garmin InReach Explorer there, I always take it with me. I've got it clipped on to the top shoulder here, so it's always right where I can get it if I get seriously injured. This one here, like I say, I like this one for every single thing except for the top part, which I didn't really think about until we do so much slow hunting, still hunting. If it folded back the opposite way, it would be better. That's out of the way. But that's a me thing, because then I don't have to flip this up to put my binos in. Generally it's now a lot of times if I'm in especially whitetail, let's say, I just leave them hanging out because I'm only taking 2-3 steps and then they're up against. I don't want the noise. Not that it makes much, but any of this movement it's unnecessary. So that's my only complaint. Otherwise, all my side parts are all zippers. So usually the one for my rangefinder, I just leave it almost like half unzipped, so I don't have to in out, and I don't want it falling out either. So it's just enough to hold it in where I can still stick my fingers in there and pull it out. Least amount of movement and noise as possible. I've got a Vortex spotter, but I only pull that thing out if I'm not just packing it randomly. Unless I have a plan to go use it, I'm not packing. It's too heavy. It's too much weight. So that's a truck item. If I know I'm glassing slides and stuff, I'll have it, in my vehicle with me, but I'm not packing it up the mountain randomly. So I got that. My backpack, it's an old Redhead. I've literally worn the pockets off it this year. I'm getting a new pack. And so far I have it narrowed down to, I believe I'm going to be running the Mystery Ranch Pintler, just for a little bigger than what I have right now. So I'm not so tight with packing all my shit in it. But Kevin, I think you have one.
Yeah, that's the one I
And
have.
I think when I come up in the springtime to Kelowna, I want to try it on. Because again, it's like, I can say it looks like the perfect pack, but until you put it on, you're not going to know if it's going to fit your body or not. So
all the
that's-
packs now, they're so adjustable that it's man, I mean, you can almost get them to fit you. But like the thing about the Mystery Ranch is they come in like small, medium, and then like medium large and large extra large, I think it is something like that, 3 different sizes. So you have to make sure. Mine is a medium large, so
Yeah.
you're a little bigger than me, you might need a large extra large.
Yeah. So that's my plan anyway for backpack. My tripod. Kevin was the reason why I ended up going with this, because I was researching, tripods, trying to see what I can get for my spotter and binos and all that kind of stuff. And originally I was going to go for a couple of the Vortex ones, and he ended up bringing out a couple of them that he had from the past to our 3D shoot, and then brought out, I think you have this one here is, I'm going to butcher the name of it, but Sirui,
Yeah.
Sirui.
Is that got the, I think it's the same one. You run the VA5 head on it?
I believe that's what's on this thing. Yeah, VA5 head.
Yeah, that's, I've used down here. I've used a lot of tripods, lots of them. And that's the one I found out to be the best.
Yeah, and it's super smooth, and there was no comparison. And for the extra, I think it was $150 or whatever. It's one of those things where, if I'm so glad Kevin brought up the other ones, because I was going to buy potentially one of the other ones that he has, and it's not like they wouldn't work, but you'd be pissed off afterwards if you're like, I should have just saved up the $150 with how the difference in how smooth it is. And
Well, the
that
head
sort of
on that
situation.
thing is unreal, and like I think that with the head is around it's around $400. You get them on you could get them on Amazon. But I mean, like, it's carbon, super light, and the head on it is phenomenal. So it's one of those things. It's just a no-brainer.
And super smooth to set up, like with the legs and all that kind of stuff. It's it's one of my favorite pieces of equipment for everything. One of the other things that I got into this year, Kevin and I mentioned it the other day, I pack this around a lot, but only if I know I'm going into certain situations. This is just a pop-up blind.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, half blind. Yeah.
It's just that half blind. I won't. Yeah, if I know I'm going to a certain setup area, I'll bring it in. I've got a couple elk areas where I'll start, and I'll stash it there too. Like I'm not going to pack it around all day per se, but if it's like I got a morning setup, this is where I'm just going to try to conceal myself a bit. I'll use it for elk in that way, and for whitetail, especially if I'm rattling, I'll pack that thing wherever, because it's like, oh shit, this is a nice area. It's nice and thick, but I got lots of shooting lanes. I'm bringing that thing in. I think it was only like $50, and I love it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome for like sitting a wallow or sitting water.
Yeah.
Sitting rubs and you're cold calling. That'd be a good idea to have something like
And then
that.
saying that, sometimes I don't mind a little bit of, like I say, I'm built for packing shit, just like a mule. So I don't care that this thing weighs a bit, but when I got to sit for hours on end, especially moose, especially calling for moose, this is like a giant beach chair. And let me tell you, I can sit in this thing for hours without having to move a muscle. It is so comfortable. And I practice shooting out of that too, because you're sitting low to the ground.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is you can bring whatever kind of chair you want. You freaking learn how to shoot out of it, because it's totally different. And you have to position your chairs like these so that you can maximize your shooting ranges, because you're not just going to turn like you would on a swivel chair in a sitting, in like a ground blind. When you're in one of those, you got to position yourself, and you got to learn how to shoot even holding your bow straight out in front of your body, not to the side, and learn the uncomfortable positions, because that is the limit with those, is unless you can hear something coming in ahead of time and you can crawl out, which I've done with moose and stuff before. If I hear something, I'm getting out of my chair and I'll sit on my knees at the very least.
Yeah.
Because why would you want to limit yourself if you don't have to? But yeah, prepare yourself ahead of time for that. And yeah, other than that, yeah, I ran the AKU boots. I can't remember which line they were, but I'm going on year 2 with them, and fuck, they took a long time to break in, but they are lasting. I'm going to get a couple more years out of them, guaranteed. So I think the only upgrade that I would do for another set of boots is get one of their insulated colder weather ones, and that would be about it.
Yeah, I have both the insulated and uninsulated, and then
okay.
But yeah, the ones I'm running. They don't make anymore, but they make some. I just got Wyatt a new set of them. They got some really cool stuff. So head on over to the webpage and check them out. And there is we do have promo codes for those, so they're in the show notes for AKU.
Yeah. And the thing is, if they didn't work, I wouldn't run them. It's as simple as that, especially my feet. I don't care if a company gives me something for free, which I've never gotten anything for free. Let's just be clear on that.
Yeah.
But if they don't work, I'm not using them. End of story. I am not going to run something that is going to shorten any of my hunts.
Especially your feet.
Yeah, these are what I use for bow hunting. These things. These are the Rocket.
Oh, yeah.
These are the DFS GTX. These things are awesome. They're waterproof. Like they got the tongue goes all the way up to here, and then you put your gaiter on.
Nice.
They're money. So I just wear them because they're a lot more quiet than the boots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're also not as warm. So in those hot summer, like the September months, they're awesome. So good job, Pete. One thing I wanted to add was this is one of the funny things that Wyatt took off my backpack. So I'm gonna cut another piece off. Yeah, this is just some accordion style foam. You buy it at Canadian Tire, wherever, Target, I guess, if you listen for the US. But yeah, I always have some of this strapped to my backpack. And one other thing I have tucked in my backpack is this. And like, I'm a big fan of paper maps. So this is just a cover. You can see it's got a backroads map in there. It's got a pocket for a more detailed map. So if I'm going to hunt an LEH zone that I've never been, or if I'm going to the Kootenays where Pete is, I always like to have paper maps. I do have some hunting my area just because this is really thin. It sits in my backpack. It's really super lightweight, but I like it in this case because you could pull it out and you don't have to worry about your map getting wet. You're wet, and like basically right now it's zoned up. This is from my moose hunt from 2 years ago, where I had the LEH, and it's basically just a quick overview of that whole zone. Super accessible, sits in the very like the back pocket of my backpack. So that's another thing I have in there.
Nice.
One other thing that I do have as well, and it's dependent on if it's rock terrain, I have a little seat that I always keep. I just tuck it under the lumbar support, and that's just like a glassing pad for if it's rock. And I gotta sit and I gotta be glass. If like the hunt is like, if success of the hunt is glassing, I for sure have one of these because it just helps with your butt, right? And then keeps you out of the wet, like if the ground's really wet too. And then I'll always have like super thick socks. The thicker the better. If I do have to take my boots off, I'll line this on my foot. And yeah. Smart. And if you gotta get in there, obviously it depends on the terrain. If there's lots of cactus,
oh dude, doesn't even matter the cactus. Not last year, the year before, I was hunting mule deer, took my shoes off, and I was just in like some real dry hay, like some real dry hay, and like my feet were cut up to shit from taking my boots off, my shoes off. They were just cut to shit.
The picture he sent me, I freaking cringed, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man, what the hell did you do? Like,
yeah, it's like I was walking, look like what's his name there, Bruce Willis, and
Die Hard.
Die Hard, just blood all over the place, sweaty.
I can't.
Cool guys.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. I think we'll wrap her up. Save anything else till next week. So again, listeners, you can view all this over at right now. So there is a focus hunting page that I wasn't able to get access to. So I just put everything on my personal page, but I'm going to try to, I wrote YouTube and I'm trying to get the two so I can amalgamate the two together after, once I can get back into the other one. So right now it's Kevin Toy. I'm going to change that so it'll be I'd like to use the Focus Hunting name that was on the old one, but I can't get access to it, and obviously you can't have two of the same handles. So if there's any changes, I'll note that. But right now, just head over to Kevin Toy, and you'll be able to see the full video. Okay, guys. Till next week, I guess.
You betcha.
Take care.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.